Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. There is parking on Hillcrest. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. Service begins at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning. We have reopened with protocol. We invite you to come and experience a better quality of life. If you're not in our areas, you can join us for the Sunday sermon at 10:45 a.m. However, if you're in our area, we want you to come and experience the fullness of God and experience a better quality of life at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, at the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast, we thank you for your support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You may call or text every day on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue where you can experience T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider, at no extra charge. I'm going to share with all of our listeners and viewers, before we get deep into the broadcast today, I want to make certain that I remind everyone we will have with us on Thursday, February the 4th, the first Thursday of every month, our monthly contributor Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist. She will discuss with us this coming broadcast on Thursday of next week. She will discuss with us the 2020-2025 dietary guidelines that have just been released to her, and she will be responding to all of the communications that came in throughout the month, and there are a lot of them. So we're going to be going through them just to select which ones we're going to address this coming Thursday. So make certain that you tell all your friends, family, colleagues, co-workers to tune in, and you don't want to miss this. BeccaTheDietitian.com will be with us, and go onto her website and you will see what type of programs that she offers. You can look around at the services that she provides. She even takes some insurances. I know she takes Independent Blue Cross and also Aetna. So you want to take advantage of this because your health and wellness can be covered by insurance at BeccaTheDietitian.com. Make sure you spell dietitian correctly. That is Dietian. So join us next Thursday when Becca the Dietitian is with us. And Rebecca Buva will answer all of your questions about health and wellness next week, next Thursday, live right here in 3D. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your siblings are doing much better than you are doing professionally. And you indicated that you're all having some success. However, you are finding it frustrating, is the word that you use, that they're having more success than you are having. So first of all, let me walk you through this. You're not in competition with your siblings. That's something you have to eradicate from your mind. They are your siblings. You should be their greatest cheerleader. They should be your greatest cheerleader, and all of you should be working to maximize your success. So you're not in competition with your siblings. That's the first thing that you must eradicate from your mind. The second thing is you're only in competition with yourself. Stop competing with other people around you. Now that doesn't imply that, for example, if you're in sales, that you don't want to achieve the highest number of sales for each month, but you're still only competing against yourself. Don't compete with people around you. Don't look at other people and compare yourself to them, because no one is going to be a better you than you're capable of being. And no one is going to be a better they than they are capable of being. So one of the things we have to understand in this life is that we're never competing with anyone else. Our only competition is ourselves. And the competition is that we are living to become a better version of ourselves and the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So that's the competition that we are constantly in daily. Are we the best version of ourselves that we can be today? And how can we become the best version of ourselves that we are capable of becoming? So you have to recognize that the frustration you're having with your siblings doing much better than you are professionally, let me break that down for you, because God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. The reason your siblings are having more success than you're having is not because of the career that they've chosen, not because they are smarter, not because they're more intelligent, not because their IQ is so much more superior, but because they're working harder and diligently working every day to, listen to this, to maximize their success. So you're working to be successful, and you all are being successful in your careers right now. You're working every day to be successful. You're not working to maximize your success. And there's a difference between working to be successful and maximizing your success. So I'm going to use a sports analogy. I'm a sports guy, so I'm going to use a sports analogy. You have an NBA team that has players who are the starting five, the second five unit. You've got a few substitutes, and the gentleman who sits at the very end of the bench on a professional basketball NBA team can shoot the lights out of a gym. He can go to any gym across America, and he can make a higher percentage shots than anybody else in the gym, unless there's other professional players. And the reason is because he has a talent and a competency to play at that level. Every level, there's a greater responsibility. So here we have someone who's sitting on the end of the bench, and the joke is always, the coach really doesn't know his name, except it's on the back of his uniform. So when he gets called to come into the game, it means that the game is well under control, the score is out of control for the opponent to come back, and he gets called by the coach to come in, mostly, and you could use a couple of analogies, but mostly because it prevents the star players from getting hurt. I don't mean that to be cruel, but that's reality. In that last 30 seconds of the game, something, some unfortunate, unintended injury in the last 30 seconds of the game, the last 60 seconds of the game. Okay. He's called to go into the game. That doesn't mean he's not a professional. That just means that he's not better than all the players that sit on the bench closer to the coach before him. But then you have the guys, but he's getting paid for doing that job. So he's having some success because of all of the college players who play on all of the tens of thousands of colleges and universities that exist in America. He's one of those, I guess, 360 to approximately 360 players who make it to the NBA. Okay. But then you have the players who are the second unit. And those guys are not the stars of the team. They are the substitutes to give the stars a rest, to fill in a role if one of the starting five becomes, and that's why they call it stars, because they're starting players, the starting five. They're the best players on the team. They get placed in that rotation because they're better. They are maximizing their success. The players behind them are the players who come in to give them a rest, or when they're injured, they may be moved in. When the starting five, one of the starting five is injured, they're moved into a role in the starting five of the unit. Those players are being successful, but the starting five players, those players who are getting max contracts, the reason they're getting max contracts is because they're maximizing their success. Now, I know you might say, if you're a sports person, you might say, Pastor, there's a few players on starting lineups that are getting max contracts that probably don't deserve it. Well, if you look around at the rest of their team, they do deserve it. And if you look around at maybe the other teams in the NBA, if they were to go someplace else that doesn't have a good team, they would have to max them out because now they become one of the starting five. And I'm using that analogy to say, you've got layers of this. You've got the starting five players, you've got the second unit, and then you've got the players who are substitutes at the end of the bench. And what I want you to understand is that when you're maximizing your success, then there's going to be the things that you're looking at when you say they're doing much better. Those are the results, the fruit of their labor. You know, it's the adage of the person who shows up at the gym, and I'm still using the basketball analogy, who shows up at the gym before everyone else for a shoot around. It's the player who makes certain that he spends money on his body, he takes care of his body every year. It's the player who eats right. It's the player who's not out partying all the time. He's not a baller. He's not out, partying all the time. He's playing ball. But he's going to do all of the necessary things to maximize his success. He's the same guy that when the arena clears out, he still wants to go back out on the floor and take some shots on that court, home or away. He's the one that's maximizing his success. He's the one that shows up at the gym early every day for practice. He's the one that is in the gym lifting weights, doing weight training. He's the one that is making certain he's taking care of his body, not just from an injury perspective, but from doing all of the right things. In other words, and it's the same thing with our careers. Your siblings who are really working to maximize their success, they're not the ones who are going out on a regular basis. They're the ones that are staying in, getting their rest, trying to eat right, exercising, working out, trying to do all of the things that are necessary to make certain that their cognitive power is at its peak so that they can perform at the highest peak. So they're the first unit. Among you and your siblings, you'd be the second unit. You're not the player at the end of the bench, but you'd be the second unit. And the reason is because you do some of the right things. That's why you're having success. But there's still, you're doing too much of the things that don't lead to you maximizing your success. So you just got to change a few things up. And one of the things I often tell people, when you see someone who is having success, you cheer them on and you emulate what they're doing to be successful. If you do that, you're going to have a much better quality of life. You're going to have a much better career. You're going to be more successful. You're going to maximize your success because every day you're working your purpose. Every day you're working to maximize your success. And when you have maximized your success, you're looking for other ways to improve your quality of life. So it's all about experiencing the fullness of God and then maximizing the fullness of God in all of our lives. So just remember, you're not in competition with your siblings. You're all part of the same team. You're a family. You're not in competition with anyone else other than yourself. Compete to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly become, and you'll experience the fullness of God in your life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. The T-Mobile caller text line is for your benefit. So we're going to place you into our queue so that you can experience America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. If you autopay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a monthly discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So we are here for you in 3D to communicate throughout the week. You can, as always, email me at newlifepastor@comcast.net. Discuss whatever you want to discuss, and we will address it right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know the motives of people, and you want to know how do you truly know their motives when they make an effort to become closer to you. So let me begin by saying this. If what they are doing helps you become a better version of yourself, then their motives are pure. You see, if all roads lead back to them, meaning that as they try to get closer to you, they're trying to drain your energy, they're trying to drain your resources, they're not about you, they're about themselves. When people really have the right motives, they really are looking to help you become the best version of yourself that you can possibly become. See, that's something I think we've all missed along the way. You know, the scriptures teach us that, just that, about, you know, loving our fellow man, loving our neighbor as we would ourselves, you know, loving one another as Christ loved the church. You know, it teaches us all about love. And when someone has the right motives, their motives are, I love you enough to want to see you become the best version of yourself that you can become. But if everything they do for you or don't do for you, something leads back to them, it's not about you, it's all about them. Their motives are not pure. You know, this is, you know, and it doesn't have to be that they do anything big. It can be, well, it might, if you're like me, it is big. It may just be an encouraging word or an inspirational word where you know they're praying for you. That may be all you need from them. But if they're constantly doing that, it's not about them. It's about you. It's about helping you to become the best version of yourself that you can become. And then when people do kind things for you and they don't look for anything in return, their motives are pure. You know, when someone does something, an act of kindness for you or towards you, and they don't need or want anything in return, then their motives are pure. See, the problem is we often surround ourselves with people who all roads lead back to them. Everything is about them, and it's never about you. They are not the least bit interested in doing anything that is going to help you be the best version of yourself They're not interested in doing any acts of kindness towards you. They're not interested in, but they'll tell you, I want to be your friend. Let's hang out together. Let's do this together. But it really isn't about you, it's about them. It's about them developing a relationship with you that will allow them to plug into you as a source for what they want, maybe what they need, but mostly what they want. That's a litmus test for you to be able to identify exactly who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. And we all want to be careful. You know, spiritually, there's a term we use, and that is that you don't want anyone draining your anointing. You don't want anyone sucking the life out of you. You don't want anyone manipulating you. We talk about anointing often spiritually because people will drain you of your anointing so that they can become stronger. Well, it's the same thing with our energy and our intellect and all of those things. People have a lot of ulterior motives. But the people who genuinely care about you and are motivated to help you become the best version of yourself that you can possibly become, those are the people who truly have the right motives. Those are the people that you want to surround you. Those are the people that you want in your life to ensure that you experience the fullness of God and maximize the fullness of God in all of our lives. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you are in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores, check for their store hours, stop in. They have everything that a man could possibly need. They have shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you are not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, check for their retail hours, their store hours, and stop in at their retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need. They have home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that suddenly someone that you know has expressed an interest in developing a relationship with you. And you're interested. So there's the first two steps, right? You're interested. Your concern is that having a relationship would damage your friendship if the relationship fails. So you wanted to know if the relationship will be successful. So the short version to that is, yes, the relationship will be successful. If you do take all the necessary steps. So I've got to break it down for you once again, and this is going to help all of our listeners and viewers also who are in the process of dating. So you've known him for a long period of time. So that's a good thing, because you've known one another for a long period, which allows you to know who you're dealing with. He's seen some of your faults, you've seen some of his faults, you've watched each other go through your dating periods, your dating life. All of that you two have been able to watch some things up close, some things you've had to see from afar, but you get the general idea. The problem is that both of you have a limited relationship with the Lord. And when I say limited relationship, what that means is that you both go to church periodically. You're not just holiday Christians, but you go to church one Sunday, you might not go for 2 more Sundays, you might go another Sunday, you don't go to the same church, which is fine, but both of you go to church periodically. You do make all the holidays, of course, but you will go maybe once or twice a month. That's not conducive for a relationship to be successful. You could have a relationship, people do it all the time. And you could have a relationship that lasts for a good period of time, but it's never going to experience the fullness of God without a relationship with the Lord. So I'm going to encourage you both. Now, you're not in our area, but I'm going to encourage you both to not just attend church periodically. Make a commitment. If you really want to see a relationship work, make a commitment to go to church every Sunday for the entire year. See, this is where we really miss the mark, because relationships require a commitment. You can't make a commitment to another person if you can't make a commitment to the Lord. You can't make a full commitment to another person if you don't make a commitment to the Lord. So we're at the end of January, and you live in another area, but your church is open. His church is not. God's allowed me to see in that secret place of your lives. The church he attends periodically is not open. But your church is. So if his church is having online services, watch his church service together individually. I'm not suggesting that you need to be together in the same place watching it, but you can watch it online and talk on the phone talk on the phone with one another while you're watching it. And what I mean is you can talk about the points the pastor's making, since you can't nudge one another. Okay, but having said that, if you're not comfortable with what his church is teaching, which should be fine, then ask him to go with you to your church, or watch his service one week and go to your church the next week. But sit in that service online or sit in that service in the sanctuary every week for the remainder of this year. You want to talk about building a commitment? That will help you build a commitment like you've never experienced before. Start reading the scriptures together. Read the scripture a night together. Pray together. You want to see a relationship flourish? Do all of those things. Or at least take out time and say, you know what, even if you're not going to pray together, at least take out time and hold each other accountable. Just ask, did you have your prayer time today? It's fine if you're praying separately, but just pray every day. Did you take out time for your prayer time today? Ask that question in the morning. Text each other in the afternoon and ask the same question. And before you go to bed at night, make sure you both take out your time for prayer. Now, you can pray any other time during the day that you want to pray, but those times are going to be real important, morning, afternoon, and night. You want to see your relationship flourish. It will be successful if you do take all of the necessary steps to be successful. Today's Daily Divine Direction